Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League predictions. We are back in action for the weekend's games of the Premier League after a really crazy midweek, Sophie. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It was absolutely chaotic in midweek, which is what we love to see. Guys, in midweek, we also hit the biggest like target ever. That means we have to go one better this time. 2,000 likes is the like target. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. It is free to like. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to hit that like target, but if everyone watching drops a like, then we might. It's going to be difficult.
Have we ever done 2,000?
We might have done, but it's the first time we've asked for it, and it's a ridiculously big target. Before we get into the predictions as well, guys, do make sure, of course, while you're there, to subscribe. It is free to subscribe, and 2/3 of you guys watching haven't subscribed. So please do hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Go on, hit it right now, and it means you will see all of our videos when they go out, and we are so close to 50,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit 49,000 this week, Sophie. What have they got to do?
Hit that like button and that subscribe button.
Sophie, the scores on the doors are you are winning 8-6 so far this week, but bear in mind we've got Premier League games to still catch up on, so we will add the points up again next week, but so far you're winning 8-6, which puts you up 98-96.
It's so close.
It's really, really interesting. And let's get into the predictions, Sophie. We're going to kick things off with the first game being at Selhurst Park, so Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Interesting. If we're going to go off the last couple of results, I'm pretty heavy on Liverpool, to be honest here, Sophie. In years gone by, Crystal Palace have been able
to
be a bogey team to Liverpool, even Manchester City. Palace, for me, are a team that can trip top teams up. But this season, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not totally worried for Crystal Palace to a point where I think they're going to be in the bottom 4 or 5 or 6. But they're not quite being as good as they have been in previous seasons, and maybe the Palace fans just want something new. Maybe they want Hodgson to go, and will that happen possibly?
Possibly, you don't know.
Yeah, the results haven't been great. It was a 2-0 defeat in midweek to Bournemouth. As for Liverpool, Sophie, they picked up a 2-0 win over Sheffield United. Not quite the 5-1 you predicted.
No, I mean, just hit the post with that one, but there were a few good chances in that, but overall, I felt like Liverpool could have performed a little bit better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, Sheffield United were trying to re-galvanise with Chris Wilder, and Liverpool just had to go there and get the 3 points. I think this is it's a more difficult game for Liverpool. Palace are better than Sheffield United. That's what the Premier League table will show you. But I still think Liverpool get the 3 points, Sophie. We're getting to a point here with Crystal Palace where, is it worth changing soon? Possibly. I think they'll get a goal, but I just don't think they get a single point out of this one. Palace 1, Liverpool 2 is my prediction.
Yeah, I'm actually going for the exact same scoreline. I feel like it's going to be a fairly tight game. As we've said, Palace are a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool. Liverpool don't quite look the same team away from home. They are picking up the points, that's the main thing, but their performances aren't quite as emphatic as they are when they're the home side. But I do see them still getting the 3 points here, but as you said, I see it being a fairly tight game, and I'm going to agree with you. 2-1.
Both going 2-1 Liverpool. The next game, Sophie, is between Brighton and Hove Albion and Burnley. Now, Brighton picked up a good 2-1 win over Brentford in midweek.
You called that? Yeah.
I might have just got that one right. The thing is, Sophie, with Brighton, there is always goals. And I think in every game this season, they've conceded and scored. I think that trend probably continues, even though they're playing a team in the bottom 3. Burnley didn't score and didn't get any points at Wolves. They lost 1-0, but they played okay.
They did. I'm not a big fan of them playing out from the back, even when teams are pressing them, forcing them into mistakes, and then they continue it, and obviously that led to the Wolves goal. So I feel like they're probably going to continue that again in this game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration here with Burnley, and maybe could be some what-ifs at the end of the season, because they just cannot seem to be consistent enough. They've pulled out 1 or 2 results this season that have come out of the blue, but nothing consistent, nothing back-to-back. And I do think Brighton win this one. I'll give Burnley a goal, but I think Brighton are a very entertaining team to watch, and they will get the better of Burnley here with goals going in both directions. But I reckon Brighton score 3 and Burnley score 1.
I was tempted to say 3-1 as well, but I might say 2-1 Brighton win. I do see Brighton winning. I think it's going to be the same scoreline as the last game. Burnley, as you said, at times they can play well and they can create chances. It's just whether they can take them. But it is important to mention Brighton have conceded in every game, so it'd be interesting if they can get a clean sheet, which they desperately need. But I do see Burnley scoring. So I'm going to say a Brighton win, but just 2-1 for me.
2-1 Brighton. Yeah, interesting. We're both going for the Seagulls. Share your predictions for Brighton versus Burnley. Next up, Sophie, let's go to Old Trafford for Manchester United versus AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth have been brilliant, Sophie. You did back them to beat Palace, so
I did.
Well done.
Yeah.
There's a good prediction.
Good, yeah.
Bournemouth are flying. Manchester United got a win, and it came at a good time, really.
It did. They needed that.
Yeah, I thought they played quite well actually against Chelsea.
They did. They created quite a few chances. Obviously, they missed a pen early on in the game. They made Chelsea look quite poor at times, so wasn't a bad performance, really.
I think it was Paul Merson that said Manchester United are a bit like revels. You don't know what you're going to get.
You really don't know what you're going to get.
So they are a nightmare for us who do predictions here. I'm never sure if I'm coming or going with Man United, and I don't know, on a week like this where they've played alright against Chelsea, I could see them maybe getting 2 wins in a row. But I don't know, because of that unpredictability, I think Bournemouth have been more consistent recently. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. Manchester United 1, AFC Bournemouth 2, and I don't think it's that crazy to say that. I genuinely think Bournemouth can go to Old Trafford and get a win. Manchester United fans, well done on your win in midweek, and if you win this one, I'll be getting closer to predicting your win next time. But I've got to be honest, you're still not consistent enough for me, and Bournemouth have done very well recently under Areola. 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 the other way, actually. I am going to back Man United because they do look better at home. As I said, they put in a pretty good performance against Chelsea. It's not taking anything away from Bournemouth because I have been backing you a fair bit recently. But I do feel like Man United might just get the better of you because they're at home. If it was at Vitality, is that what it's called? If it was at the Vitality, then I feel like it would be 2-1 the other way. But I'm just having to lean towards Man United in this one, annoyingly. 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Next up, Sophie, let's go to Bramall Lane, where Sheffield United take on Brentford. Both sides lost in the week. Sheffield United lost 2-0 at home to Liverpool. Not a disaster, I guess.
No. I mean, Chris Wilder coming in, they made it quite hard to be broken down at times, so...
They didn't create a lot, but what can you do?
Yeah, it was a lot of hoofing.
Yeah.
There were a few chances, to be fair. I feel like Cameron Archer had a few good chances that he didn't take, so they were in the game at times.
I think Brentford will be kicking themselves as well because they took the lead at Brighton with that Mbumo penalty and then they lost 2-1. Brentford, another team that we like. They're at least a mid-table team. Sometimes just struggling to be consistent though, but not in any danger of being anywhere further down than mid-table. I don't know what it is, Sophie, but I like to chuck upsets in there.
Go on.
And I just think that midweek game for Sheffield United was always going to be a stretch. I didn't back them to win that game. We both backed them to lose, and they did because it's Liverpool. Yes. And the fact Chris Wilder had literally only had 1 or 2 days. By the time we get to the weekend, he's had a couple more days. He knows maybe his best team, maybe not, but maybe he's getting there. And this is a more winnable game. And it's at Bramall Lane. So let's do it, Sophie. Sheffield United, I'm giving you hope. 2-1 to the Blades. I reckon Brentford score, but Sheffield United, they're going to get their first win under Chris Wilder.
Okay, wow. See, I was going to give them something, but not quite a win. There were some promising signs under Chris Wilder, and I feel like they're not going to ship so many goals now that he's at the wheel. But Brentford are no mugs either, so I don't really want to go against either side, so I'm going to go down the middle. 1-1.
Oh, fence sitting.
Yeah, here we
go. There you go, sitting on the fence. Yeah, like I say, guys, share your thoughts on that one. If Chris Wilder can, get out of those players what he did when they were first in the Premier League all those years ago, well, it wasn't that many years ago, then they could actually have a chance of staying up. On to the next game, Sophie, and we go to Molineux for Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. Wolves, good result for them on Tuesday night. They beat Burnley 1-0 and they continue their, decent season under Gary O'Neill, really.
Yeah, it wasn't emphatic, but a win is a win.
Yeah, honestly, at the start of the season, I did say I think Wolves could be in a spot of bother when Lopetegui was going out the door and the season was just about to start. so much has changed with Gary O'Neill coming in the door, and they look really, really good. Honestly, Wolves, I really have enjoyed watching you. As for Nottingham Forest, Sophie, first things first, I need to put my hands up because I did predict them to win at Fulham.
You did. How was that?
Yeah, okay. But you didn't predict 5-0.
Well, no, not 5, but I did predict a Fulham win.
Yeah, fair enough. At this moment in time, Steve Cooper is still at Nottingham Forest. He might not be by the time this video goes out or by the time we get to the weekend. And if he does go, I think it's really sad because of what he's done for the club, but maybe they do need to move on, get some better results. Personally, I don't think Nottingham Forest will go down this season, but this run of results has got them in a position where, I don't know, it doesn't look like they've improved on last season. They're sat 16th. Luton Town are, only just behind them. They could be moving ahead of them soon. So, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for Forest because I feel like they've tried every different system, formation. The results haven't been coming through. They do miss a Wanye, I will admit.
Yes, that is a big miss for them.
I'm going to go Wolves. I'm going to go Wolves 2-0.
3-0 for me. Nottingham Forest are just shipping goals at the minute. It's entertaining to watch if you're not a Forest fan, I will give you that. But I agree, something needs to change because you are massively underperforming for me. And it is a little bit disappointing if you're a Forest fan. Wolves, they didn't create that much against Burnley, but I feel like there's going to be more openings against Forest and they're going to capitalise on that for me. So 3-0.
Wow, yeah. There certainly could be some improvement from Forest from the Fulham game, but
that is, to be fair, 3-0 rather than 5-0.
I honestly I just think it is too much of a swing for me to go for Forest this time. I do think Wolves are stronger. On to the next one, Sophie. This is easily the best game this weekend. I've been looking forward to this one ever since Wednesday night, and it's Aston Villa versus Arsenal.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable, Sophie, especially after those results in midweek. By the way, put it there. We both backed Aston Villa to win. All right.
Yeah, didn't get the scoreline right. Doesn't matter. We still got the winner.
We both said Aston Villa would win by 1 goal.
True.
Yeah.
And they did. So
all right. And Arsenal, we both backed them to win, albeit we weren't ever going to predict a 4-3 to Arsenal. So those results in midweek have made this one really, really interesting. Arsenal are still top. They have increased their gap over Man City, who is, probably the team they'll be keeping their focus on because it was Man City that caught Arsenal last season. And I still think Man City, for me, still favourites, but I don't know, it's starting to balance out a little bit now. But yeah, great result from Arsenal in midweek. Not perfect, I must say, defensively, and certainly the goalkeeper can come in for some criticism, but the character shown to get the late goal, brilliant from Arsenal, I must say. You can't play like that though and get a win at Aston Villa because Villa Park is literally impossible to get a win this season, or even a draw. Aston Villa, Sophie, they beat Man City, and I mean this ridiculous home record. Aston Villa are just not handing out any points to anyone that come to Villa Park. They are just being ruthless. And to be honest, Sophie, I think they could have beat Man City by more. Do you know what? This might sound a bit silly, but why not? I'm actually going to say this. If Aston Villa win this, I think they could be in the title race this season.
I think they're already in the title race, to be honest. They're right up there. If you're going to class the other teams as being in there, you've got to class Villa as well. I think you're right. Aston Villa are third. If they win this game, they are 1 point behind Arsenal. And like I say, they're already ahead of Man City now. I think Aston Villa are going to win this, and I do think they're in the title race. I think, for me, Man City are still my favourites, and then Arsenal, perhaps, because those teams have got the legs to go the full distance this season. But Villa are standing up pretty strong still. And remember with Leicester City, Sophie, people thought, they'll fall away. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen. I'm going to go for Villa here, Sophie, 2-1. Yeah, I don't know why. I was really tempted to say a draw here, just because I'm finding it hard to separate the two. They're both two teams in good form. Obviously Villa's home record is just unreal at the moment, so this is so hard because it's such a big game. I'm going to have to agree with you, and I agree with the scoreline as well. 2-1 Villa, massive game.
Both go Villa 2-1. I think for the neutral, things will get interesting if Villa win that game. But on the other hand, I must say, if Arsenal win away there, I would say that's their massive. Biggest result this season. I'd say that's even bigger than when they beat Man City at home. On to the next one, Sophie, as we go to Goodison, as Everton take on Chelsea. Interesting matchup, this one, Sophie. I'm not 100% sure which way this one will swing. Everton have certainly been all right at spells this season. Chelsea as well. I think these two teams, it's kind of like what day you're going to catch them on. If these two are on their game, they could certainly beat each other. I'm maybe going to go with Chelsea to get a reaction after losing to Man United, Sophie. Chelsea, I don't know, they're just kamikaze, aren't they? They've only been able to win or lose recently. There's no in between, and there's always goals going in. I'll go Everton 1, Chelsea 3.
See, I'm tempted to say a draw for this one as well, because there's promising signs at Everton at the moment. If you take away their points deduction, they're actually sitting a lot higher in the table. But yeah, as you say with Chelsea, you just don't know what you're going to get with them. So they could come here and win easily, or they could lose. So I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I find it really hard. It just doesn't really benefit either side, to be honest. Possibly Everton slightly more, but yeah, 1-1 for me.
There you go, going down the middle. Share your thoughts on Everton versus Chelsea, guys. Next up, Sophie, we've got a London derby as West London takes on East London. Fulham host West Ham. This one's going to be interesting, Sophie, to see how Fulham play after that incredible win against Nottingham Forest. Will they be on a bit of a high? Will confidence be up? Will they be able to pick up another win? I think this is a good opportunity for Fulham, because when your confidence is high like this in the Premier League, you really need to capitalise on it, because there certainly can be spells where you lose 3, 4, 5 in a row. West Ham certainly is a solid team, capable of scoring. In terms of who's got the better squad, Sophie, would you maybe go with West Ham?
I would, to be honest, yeah.
I think what cancels that out a bit, though, is Fulham with the home advantage and that incredible result in midweek. So I was tempted to go for a draw, but you know what? I'm actually going to go all in on Fulham again. I reckon Fulham get back-to-back wins this week. I'm going to go Fulham 2, West Ham 1.
See, I see this being an entertaining one. I'm going to go a draw again, because both teams on their day, good sides. So I'm going to say an entertaining Desmond 2-2.
Oh, you go for Desmond 2-2, Soph. Yeah, difficult one to call that, isn't it?
It is, so go down the middle.
Share your thoughts on Fulham versus West Ham, guys, down in the comments. 2 games to go. Let's move on to the next one as Luton Town host Manchester City, Sophie. It feels like Luton Town have had some pretty difficult games recently. And I tell you what, they are getting very unlucky at Kenilworth Road. You think back to the Liverpool game, they were so close to getting the win. It was, what, 96th minute or something? Liverpool
they're doing that. Final few minutes of the game, they're throwing it away.
And then Arsenal, 90 plus 7. And they dropped that draw and it turned into a loss. So I think Luton Town, there's a lot to be proud of, but a lot of frustrations as well, because the Premier League's unforgiving and you still need to pick your points up. You can't, if you've just come up and you're trying to stay up, you can't be saying, oh well, that's all right, you know. No,
not at this stage now. First few games, you're like, okay, take it.
Exactly. But once again, considering how far Luton Town have come, they are doing incredible. We never thought they'd go toe to toe with Arsenal like that. They are so effective from set pieces, by the way.
They're unreal.
What's slightly different about this game, Sophie, is I think Manchester City are really, really strong and will need a reaction from the Aston Villa defeat. I think they're going to come here and they're really just going to go for it to really, like, I don't know, make themselves feel more confidence, to improve the goal difference, and I don't see this one being as tight. I think Luton might be able to score from a set piece again or something, but I'm going to go Luton Town 1, Man City 4.
Oh. Okay, I'm going for the same deficit actually, but I feel like Man City need a clean sheet. They need to almost like destroy a team to get that confidence back. I don't know if they have the same hunger this season. It seems like they're lacking that slightly, which is understandable, to be honest, after last season.
They've dropped some points now, Sophie. They can't afford many more of those dropped points because the gap will become too big.
Exactly. But they are a team capable of then closing that gap again. What I will say about Luton is I actually felt so sorry after watching that game against Arsenal. To walk away with nothing, that's heartbreaking. But I don't know what it is. It's just the final few minutes of the game. You're just chucking away the points, and you can't afford to be doing that. Coming up against Man City, they need a reaction. As you say, they can't afford to drop points anymore. I feel like they need a clean sheet. They're going to have to fight for it because, as you say, Luton are looking strong set pieces. But for me, Man City walk away 3-0 winners.
3-0 Man City. Yeah, interesting. I hope it's not quite like that for Luton, but
I'd love a Luton win.
Yeah,
let's be real.
We'll see. Man City really do need that next Premier League win, let's be honest. There's one game left, Sophie, and it's Tottenham Hotspur versus Newcastle United. This is a difficult one, isn't it, Soph, to call, because which Tottenham and which Newcastle are we going to get turning up? Newcastle, I have said this season, I do think are better at home. They're not totally hopeless away necessarily, but I just fancied them that bit more when they're at home. Whereas Spurs, they've certainly been inconsistent, but possibly on the mend. Yeah,
I mean, it's both teams that have been struck a lot by injuries, so it's not their full strength teams going at it, which makes it even harder to call, to be honest.
That's a very good point. And one thing I will say is these are probably two of my two of my favourite managers actually, Eddie Howe and Ange Postecoglou. I was tempted to sit on the fence for this one, Sophie, because I don't really have a clue. I'm thinking Desmond, but you know what? I might just swing to the away team and give Newcastle a big 3 points here. I'm going to go Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. I think Newcastle might just be able to battle the result over the line.
See, I'm going to go 2-1, but the other way. I think the home advantage is going to play a big part in this game. As if it was at St James's Park, I'd probably tip them to win, but for me, Spurs are going to do it. It's not going to be pretty, but for me, they walk away 2-1 winners.
There you go, both going 2-1, but in opposite directions. Guys, of course, do make sure to share your Premier League predictions down in the comments. Let us know your predictions for those 10 big Premier League games this weekend. As I say, make sure to hit that like button. 2,000 likes. Please do hit the thumbs up button. It's going to be difficult. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure every single one of you watching has hit that subscribe button, as we're nearly at 50,000 subscribers. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.